she began and ended it, almost as helpless as a child. The sweeping systemic changes needed to revolutionize a woman's rights and opportunities may have failed to materialize by the late 19th century, but the first rumblings of discontent had long been audible in the background. By the dawn of the 17th century, a radical social shift had begun to creak into action that would falteringly gather pace over the next 300 years. For although Mary Frith was the original Roaring Girl, she wasn't the only woman of the era to find herself living in a world that didn't suit her, and who couldn't resist the urge to stick two fingers up at society in response. The seeds of female insurrection were beginning to germinate across Britain, and the women in this book all played their part in the rebellion. From the privileged vantage point of the 21st century, it's easy to forget just how heavily the odds were stacked against women in Britain in the centuries before the women's rights movement, and how necessary their rebellion was. From the day she was born, a girl was automatically considered of less value than her male peers, and throughout her life, she would be infantilized and objectified accordingly. Her function in the world would forever be determined by her relationship to men. First, her father, then her husband, or, in their absence, her nearest male relation. On them, she was legally and financially dependent, and should she end up with no male protector at all, she would find it a desperate struggle to survive. By the age of 7, a girl could be betrothed. At 12, she could be legally married. Her only presumed trajectory was to pass from maid to wife to mother and, if she was lucky, grandmother and widow. Any woman who tried to deviate from this path would quickly find her progress blocked by the towering patriarchal infrastructures in her way. Denied a formal education and barred from the universities, she would find that almost every respectable career was closed to her. She couldn't vote, hold public office, or join the armed forces. The common consensus was that her opinions were of no value and her understanding poor, and consequently, she was excluded from all forms of public and intellectual life, from scholarship to parliament to the press. While the men around her were free, if they could afford it, to stride out into the world and participate in all it had to offer, she was expected to know her place and to stay in it. Suffocating in the home if she was genteel, toiling in fields, factories, homes, and shops if she wasn't. Genius was a male quality, and leadership a male occupation. Even queens would have their qualifications questioned by men who assumed they knew better. The only careers open to a woman during this period were those of wife and mother. But even if her home life turned out by chance to be happy, these roles still came with considerable downsides. Legal impotence was perhaps the most obvious. In the eyes of the law, the day they married, a husband and wife became one person, and that person was the husband. From that moment on, the wife's legal identity was subsumed by his. Her spouse became her keeper, her lord and her master, while she, as an individual, ceased to exist. Any money she might earn, any object she might own, from her house right down to her handkerchiefs, instantly became his, while all his worldly goods he kept for himself. A wife could no longer possess or bequeath property, sign a contract, sue or be sued in her own right. In principle, she was now her husband's goods and chattels, and he could treat his new possession however he liked. If she was still in any doubt about what to expect from married life before she entered it, the Book of Common Prayer made it alarmingly clear. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord. If the marriage proved miserable, even unbearable, the wife was expected to endure it. Her husband could beat her, rape her, drag her back to his home if she fled.